It's time for the Raleigh Roadshow.
Hey everybody, it's Randy again with the Raleigh Roadshow, and it's been a little while, but we're here to do something different and fun. I know you know us for our music interviews and that sort of thing in town, but here today we're with Mr. John Kruth, who is part of the Rhine Research Center here in Durham, North Carolina. We're going to be talking about some paranormal things. And that includes a lot of different things, not just your typical ghost that most of you may or may not think about. So we'll go ahead and turn this over to Mr. Kruth here and let him explain some things about what the Rhine Research Center is and what they do here. John, very nice to meet you today.
You too,
Yes,
Randy. Thanks for having me here.
It's great. And like I said, we'll just let you go ahead. I know that people are interested in this sort of thing to see what you all do here, how long you've been here, all the fun background information. So I'll turn it over to you now.
Great. So the Rhine Research Center started at the Duke University Parapsychology Labs back in 1935. J.B. Rhine, who was the founder of the labs, started doing research in a new field that he named parapsychology. And parapsychology, a lot of people don't know what that is. Right. They think it's a lot of different things. They start thinking about Bigfoot and aliens. And we don't do any of that. They're interesting things. Crop circles are interesting, but that's not what we study. Right. We study really 5 very specific areas. And one of them is telepathy, which is mind communication. A second is clairvoyance, being able to get information about objects or events from a distance. It might be something like something that's hidden in an envelope, or something in a drawer in another room, or even halfway around the world. Third area we study is precognition. This is getting information through time. So these 3 things together, telepathy, mind-mind communication, clairvoyance, getting information about objects or events, and precognition, getting information through time, all together they're called ESP, or extrasensory perception. So besides extrasensory perception, there's also something we call psychokinesis, or PK. People used to call it telekinesis, but we now use a different term. We use psychokinesis, or PK. This is mind-matter interaction. People who consciously or unconsciously have an effect on either objects or electronic devices or different instruments that might be around them. Those 4 things together are what we call psi. All the ESP phenomena and PK we call psi. Psi doesn't mean anything. It's just a word we use to encompass these. But I told you there were 5 areas. The 5th area we study is survival studies. Survival studies include things like near-death experiences, people who their heart stops or their brain activity stops and they continue to have experiences like a bright light, going through a tunnel, seeing loved ones that have passed on, and then they come back to life. That's why it's near-death experience, not just death experience. Out-of-body experiences. People who feel like they're leaving their bodies and traveling to other places. Mediumship. People who believe that they're communicating with spirits and are able to relate that to other people as well. Reincarnation, or people who remember past lives. And then finally, apparitions and hauntings, which have to do with any time that people might see what they believe might be a spirit, or see some sort of event that might remind them that it might be something that's happening in a location, like a haunting. So those are the 5 areas we study in parapsychology.
Yeah, and that's very interesting. I mean, all those things are things that most people find very interesting, but wouldn't know where to start to look at to get like real information for that. Is that something that you all do here at Rhine Research, is give out that information? And what else do you do here at the center?
Well, we are the oldest parapsychology research lab in the country, starting in 1935, and we still do current research in parapsychology. And when I talk about research, I'm saying we're scientists, we go in a lab, We do really boring stuff. Well, really boring as it can be around this topic, right?
Right.
But and then we write research papers and publish them in peer-reviewed journals. But we also have events where we about 20 times a year, about every 2 weeks, we have speakers who come in and give talks at the Rhine about different topics. We had someone talking about animal ESP a couple weeks ago. We had a presentation all about PK and the different experiences of PK. And we have many people come in on different topics and speak about 20 times a year. We also offer online courses through the Rhine Education Center. In fact, in just September, we have a course coming up on field investigations. People who are interested in going out and learning more about how to do what they consider ghost hunting. And it's going to be presented by Lloyd Auerbach, who is a professional field investigator and a parapsychologist who's been doing this work since the 1970s. When the film Ghostbusters came out, they went to Lloyd because he was the real Ghostbuster back in the 1970s.
Right.
So we continue, and our website at rhine.org has a lot of information that people might be interested in as well.
Right. And I'm sure some of the viewers out there do their own kind of field investigations, and I'm sure this would be very helpful for them, the online course that you're offering, to help sort of tune up what you're doing and maybe give some advice on things, that sort of stuff. In fact, this weekend, I myself will be traveling out and joining a group, and we'll have some more information with them later in the show. But one of the things that they were interested in and a question that we were going to ask was about when you go out into the field, is there any special equipment or things that you would say? I know a lot of the television shows now use the night vision and infrared, all that sort of thing. Are those things that you suggest would be helpful with field investigation?
Well, sometimes those things are very helpful. We don't specialize at the Rhine. Like I said, we do laboratory research. We don't specialize in field investigations and looking, and we never do what you might call ghost hunting. We don't go out looking for ghosts. When we hear of an unusual experience or an unusual activity, we go looking for explanations, physical explanations. We try to explain how it could happen, looking at things like the landscape around, whether there's high power lines around the house, the condition of the home, and whether there might be electrical issues in the house. We even had one case where there was, over the hill, there was a garbage dump, and the people were smelling noxious fumes in the house, but they didn't realize that every once in a while the wind would shift and bring that come into the house. And there was also, in the same house, there was a very slow gas leak in the house. And the house, whenever you went into it, it would kind of make you a little dizzy and you'd feel off balance, and people were attributing this to possible spirit activity, but really it was just a dangerous situation because there was actually gas in the house. So what we look for first is physical explanations to try to see if we can determine what might be going on. The next thing that you might want to look at is, and when you're looking at that, you might also want to look at environmental things like, are there different heat sources in different locations? This is where infrared lights come in and infrared detectors come in handy. You can start to see, is there an area where it's warmer than another area? You can look at magnetic fields and use what they call tri-field meters to look and see if there's different places where the magnetic field might vary. This helps you to diagnose if there are any physical factors in the house. If anyone were to present you with an instrument and say, hey, you can use this instrument and it'll tell you when there's a ghost here, well, yeah, we have bridges to sell you too. This is not, we don't know what a ghost is made of.
Right.
So we can't give you an instrument or any type of camera that's going to take a picture of a ghost.
Okay.
Oftentimes people mistake either like orbs. People talk about orbs a lot. And a lot of times these are reflections of light from different things. And in fact, professional camera people for decades have been trying to get rid of these things because they happen so regularly.
Right.
About 20 years ago, the cameras changed, and when the digital cameras became popular, they found that they were getting a lot of flashback from the flashes on the cameras. So they moved the flash closer to the actual lens of the camera. All of a sudden, orbs started appearing in many people's photos. It's because of the way they adjusted the light. So orbs oftentimes are just light. We don't attribute them to spirit activity.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's something that the paranormal chasers who I'll be out with this weekend we're interested in, that sort of what gives you the best chance to see spirits and ghosts. And I guess, in my opinion, until we get one that walks up right to a camera and talks to us and says, "Hey, we've been here for eons," that no one's going to understand or believe people's experiences. Which, again, I've had a few experiences myself, and thank goodness one of them was qualified and quantified a little bit, so I didn't feel that I was absolutely losing my mind. But I think that there are lots of people out there that have these experiences, whether they're paranormal or not, but they're just unexplainable. And like I said, you guys try and come in and explain the unexplainable. Right. And then when that's not possible, then you're looking at potential true type of spirits or ghosts. Is that correct? Yes.
Right. Yes. And let me be clear. I'm not saying that there are no spirits. I'm not saying that there's not any hauntings that are going on. What I'm saying is that it's very difficult to capture scientific evidence that explains people's experiences in terms of spirits. There are a lot of other explanations that we can come up with scientifically. What I feel our job is here is to try to take these experiences, because many people have these experiences, try to take these experiences that people have and find ways to explain them to the scientific community in language they understand. And also to help people who are having these experiences to realize that every time that they know who's calling on the phone, that doesn't mean that they're psychic. Sometimes it's just, hey, somebody calls at noon every day, and you know that they're going to call, right?
Yeah.
So we try to translate back to the people who are having the experiences what is scientific and what isn't, but also to the people who are scientific, we try to explain some of these experiences could reflect really unusual phenomena that we can't explain using traditional scientific means.
Yeah. I think the thing that has become popular, you can see throughout the movies now, that everything is ghosts or horror or something like that. It's become a very popular genre, maybe pushed along by some of the television shows that you'll see on TV that do these ghost hunting and paranormal research and things like that. So I think that there have been several movies that are probably more popular than not that you're probably aware of, that have had a lot of field investigation sort of thing done with them. Amityville is one of the more probably researched, and I think was not Duke part of that research that they did there, or how was that involved?
Duke was not part of the research that was done at Amityville, New York. They did do other research related to poltergeist activity. It was poltergeist activity, not haunting activity. Amityville is more considered a haunting activity. And I mention the difference because haunting activities are connected to location or place. Typically, there's a specific location, and a certain spirit or activity will occur repeatedly in this location, almost like it's a recording that's been imprinted in that location. This is what we call haunting activity. Usually in those situations, anything that people have observed there or have experience with is typically not very responsive or reactive. If you ask questions, oftentimes you will not get a response. Those are hauntings. Apparitions, on the other hand, are when people either see something or experiencing something, and it doesn't have to be location-based. It doesn't have to be in a specific place. It could be in different places, but it could always be in the same location. But apparitions are typically more responsive. This is the experience people have. We differentiate them this way because they're very different phenomena. Something that is responsive is not something that's going to, that's not a recording.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
You can pretend, but it's not going to happen that way. Right.
So could those be based around a person, possibly, that the person has that, taking that to different locations? So,
So the So I mentioned apparitions and hauntings. Another area people often talk about and you see in movies is poltergeists. Poltergeists are something people often consider it's a mischievous spirit, a spirit that's evil, or we might be coming in and moving things around and throwing them. But in parapsychology, we have a theoretical foundation for poltergeists, which does not involve spirits. In almost every poltergeist investigation that's been done over the past 60 years, since we've been looking at it very closely, almost every single one of them has had a single person at the center of the activity. We consider that person the poltergeist agent. It's a person who oftentimes is a younger person, but almost always is someone who's going through some sort of emotional or anxious type of situation in their life. And the activity seems to center around them. And oftentimes the objects that are moving towards those people. This is what we consider unconscious PK or psychokinesis, where there's some sort of anxiety or some sort of emotions that are stirring up this unconscious activity that is causing objects to move around people. You may have seen Carrie, an old film where there were objects flying all around the place around her, or even the old Poltergeist movie. The old Poltergeist movie was based on spirit. It was a spirit theory. But Carrie was more about this girl and how these events used to occur around her. That's the theory that we focus on with poltergeist now.
So, we're trying to get the viewers to understand that there's definitely a difference in things that may happen. So if any of you all are experiencing those kinds of things, I would ask to go online, research, even research through the Rhine Center. Do you all have a website that you have things that people can access for their information? Would you like to explain that for us?
Sure. The Rhine.org is our website, RHINE, and that's where there's a lot of information on our website related to parapsychology and the research we do. We also have links to other organizations. We're also on social media. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter. So you can start to connect to us in different areas and learn about when we have our events coming up on these different topics. We broadcast them live on the internet, so you can watch most of them live as they're going on. We also have a media library where we have many recordings of the events that we've done. So if you see a topic that interests you, you can learn more about it. As I mentioned, we also have the Rhine Education Center, which is teaching online courses. We have certificate programs through the Rhine Education Center. We don't teach people to be psychic. We teach them about the science of parapsychology. So things like I said, mentioning the field investigations courses coming up, and we also have other courses on the introduction to parapsychology and phenomena like energy healing or psychic healing, psychokinesis, ESP, all of the different topics I've mentioned. We have courses that study those specifically.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things, again, that why I wanted to do this interview is because this is in our backyard here. I mean, we're here in the RTP area, and a lot of people know about you, but there's probably quite a few others that do not, and I think that was the big reason to come on and get you on camera and let everyone see what may or may not be going on. In fact, I have a friend on Facebook who's dealing with some of these issues right now, and she can't seem to get a grasp of that, and maybe I'll point her in your direction to see if she can get some answers and some things for herself. I think, and there may be quite a few other people out there as well. Again, having my experiences myself, and we had spoken a little bit about this earlier, and that was nice that I got a little feedback as to what that may or may not be happening for me. But again, is there anything fun that you all do here that viewers would like to know?
Oh, yeah.
I know some of you'd get some people groups together and do some fun things. I think I had seen where you guys were doing, was it some bending of some utensils, that sort of thing? Is that something fun that you
Yes,
do?
we have different meetings that we do at the Rhine. We have a meeting every month on what's called PEG, Psychic Experiences Group, where people meet in our library here in Durham, and they join together, and it's just a place where people can talk about their experiences. It's not a counseling group or anything. It's just come, hear other people's experiences, share your own experiences if you want, and learn about it from other people who have had them as well. We have a dream studies group that meets in the library as well once a month, and they sit around, and they're not doing dream interpretation of everybody's dreams, but they sit around and they have conversations about dreams and what dreams are good for and how they can be used in different situations. But we also, one of the things you were talking about is what we call psi games. About 3 or 4 times a year, we'll gather with a group of people on one of our Friday night events, and psi games is a time where we get together, and it's an experiential evening. We teach people about how we used to test ESP with the old ESP cards, the Zener cards we call them. We let them go through a practice session with some of that. We teach them about remote viewing, which was something that was used by the U.S. government for psychic spying in the 1970s through 1990s.
Was that based, that movie, what was it? The Men Who Talked to Goats?
The Men Who Stare at Goats, yes. That was based very loosely on that program. In fact, some of the people who were in the program were consultants on that movie. But we do let people try remote viewing on their own. We're not staring at goats here, but it's a way to kind of guess what's in the envelope kind of thing. Yeah. We teach them how to do it. And we also have a session where they try to affect machines with psychokinesis, with intention. Right. So you try to make certain things happen with machines, and these are really fun things. And we have a nice, you go from station to station, and then we all get together and we bend spoons. And I didn't say we try, because it amazes me that every time we get together, spoons are bending all over the room. Wow. So many bend that people leave their bent spoons here. I have a jar downstairs with hundreds of bent spoons in it from these events that we have. Right. So if you keep a look at the website or keep up with us on social media, you'll see the events that are coming out, and you'll probably see something that might interest you. Perfect.
Well, I think this has been a very, it's been a great interview for me. I'm very glad to have John on the show. We may do some things in the future. Would love to come back, do some broadcasting or something maybe in the future. You all, you can go online, check them out, and it was Rhine.org, yes. Correct? And we'll have this posted at the end at our credits as well. So, you all can go on, become friends and of their Facebook page and get some information through that. Come out and do some of the fun things that they seem like they have planned. And absolutely, thank you for your time today. Our viewers, thank you as well. And again, as always, we appreciate your viewership. Watch the Raleigh Road Show. We'll be again on in the future. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Hey guys, great little interview with Mr. John Kruth there from Rhine Research Center. Really had a great time doing that. What we have coming up next is video from Crybaby Lane here in Raleigh. Just a little taste, if you will, of what's to come on the next episode. I had so much video that I just decided to make this a 2-episode sort of paranormal thing for the Raleigh Road Show, this being our first time doing this. And I hope you enjoy this, and stay tuned for more with the Raleigh Road.
Perk up and just start talking casually and walk and stroll, and then as soon as the video turned off, we'd put on our coats and shiver. I mean, we just do that until
part of this area here that we're looking at, just to give the viewers a little sense of where this area is, what it looks like. Again, you can see all these big, huge oak trees around here that are just indicative of this area and how old this property probably is. You hardly ever see huge oak trees in the city like this. Everyone wants to cut them down, make way for progress. Just to give you a little insight as to what's going on. It looks like there's the Centennial Campus stuff that's going on over there.